Hey guys, what's going on? So it's been a while since I kind of did an update video. In this video, I just want to talk about kind of where I'm at in World of Warcraft, how I feel about the PvP system, and if I plan on ranking, and just overall giving you an update. So let's first start off with leveling to 60. Obviously, I leveled very quickly to 60. Um, uh, Not as fast as some people, obviously, but it was pretty fast. A lot of dungeon running and not really enjoying the journey. However, I was able to get to 60 really quick, and I'm proud that my guild was able to get World 7th Molten Core clear, so that was pretty cool. Obviously, those first few weeks was just a lot of, rushing, playing tons and tons of hours, gearing up, and doing all that kind of stuff. Obviously, a lot of fun, but then also just a lot of work, and it kind of all blew by so fast. So after that point is kind of when things went back to normal, normal sleep routine, normal schedule, and still playing a lot of hours, but not that early grind. And then at that point, I kind of focused on professions. As a lot of you know, I wanted to make sure that I got Smoking Heart of the Mountain from Enchanting, so I leveled that all the way up to 265. That was rather expensive because it was kind of early on and there was a lot of people leveling it. So I think it cost me around 250 gold to level it up. But I leveled it up, got my Smoking Heart of the Mountain, and so I was able to check that off of my list. And then at that point, I started leveling up my herbalism and also engineering. Obviously, when I'm leveling quickly, and I was leveling quickly to 60, I didn't spend time doing professions. So at this point, I kind of took things a little slower and stepped away from doing dungeons and gearing up, and I was working on professions at that point. Since my guild quickly cleared Molten Core, I really wasn't too worried about getting my full best in slot gear, and to this day, I still am lacking a lot of gear pieces, actually. I have 2 subpar rings. I should get the healing chest piece from Strathholm. I need the bracers from Dire Mall North. So there's like a lot of pieces that I definitely still lack. However, since every week my guild is clearing Molten Core with no problems, I'm not really as motivated to put my full best in slot gear together. It's not a huge deal to me. So that's kind of where I've been with like the gearing process and things like that. Also, obviously, as a druid, I was able to get a lot of pieces of Cenarian quickly, and while there's several pieces of Cenarian that are not actually the best in slot, they are kind of a good alternative. So I'm fine with the gear that I have. Now, since I was able to focus on professions early on, and I spent a lot of money leveling up my professions, I was pretty broke. So I started to farm my gold for my epic mount a little bit later than a lot of other people had. So quite a few people in my guild already had their epic mount, and it wasn't like uncommon to see quite a few people on my server of Faralina with their epic mount. So I kind of started feeling the pressure of farming for that and getting ready for the PvP phase, because obviously being without your epic mount when phase 2 comes is kind of a nightmare. So I spent a lot of time in Maradon, obviously doing princess runs to farm gold. Dire Mall wasn't out at the time, so that was kind of my best gold making option. I also farmed a lot of Essence of Waters early on. Looking back, I kind of wish I saved more of my Essence of Waters and sold them later. Essence of Water got up to like 20 gold on my server. Now it's like at 15 gold. But I early on was selling them for about 9 gold when I was farming them, and there wasn't that many people in the area, so I was able to farm there pretty uncontested. So looking back, I kind of wish I saved those, but oh well. There's a lot of good choices that I did make. I was able to pick up 4 Librams of Constitution early on, and those right now are going for around 150 to 200 gold on my server, and I picked them up for 5 to 10 gold early on. I think not very many people really knew what they did or how impactful they were, so I got really lucky there. And then my Libram of Focuses from DM, I was able to just get from doing DM runs, luckily, so I didn't have to buy those. But bought a lot of Twink gear early on as well, that now that the PvP phases are out, those are going for a lot of gold as well. So I'm kind of recouping some of the money I invested early on. So then after that point, I was able to obviously buy my epic mount after I spent a lot of money on some random items, like I said. I knew from my experience on private servers that some of these items would go up in value a lot, so I wanted to, kind of finally take advantage of having that information and making sure that I did things right this time around. Again, looking back on things, there were some things that I just didn't realize were going to go up so much. There was a time that, because of layering, there was obviously so many layers, that Black Lotus wasn't really that expensive on my server for a while. They were like going for 20 gold at some times, and now I think they're going for right around 100 to 80 gold. So I could have made quite a bit of money there. And again, like, all this stuff is just kind of things that you couldn't really foresee. With the layering system, I just wasn't so sure if the prices of those would go up a ton. Anyways, obviously I was finally able to get my epic mount, like I said, and then the early rush kind of stopped. So I had checked off most of the really, really important things that I was hustling to get done, and at that point is where a lot of people kind of start to get burnt out, I guess, or they'll start like raid logging, or not putting so much time into the game. But for me, I've always really enjoyed Classic WoW, not just for like the end game. So at that point, the rush was over for my main character, but there was a lot of things that I still wanted to do. For example, like I said, I really rushed to 60 and I didn't really get to enjoy my leveling experience, which, if some of you played on private servers, the leveling experience is definitely different on actual Classic WoW. There's just, the mob values are different. Mobs hit, for some mobs hit harder, some mobs are obviously a lot weaker, and then just overall the questing experience of being on a specific server was very unique. So I obviously made an alt on Faralina somewhat early on, so there's still quite a few people leveling. This was a little bit before Dire Maul came into the game, so it was a little bit hectic there. And then I was still dealing with queue times. So what I did is, actually on my alt account, when I was waiting in queue, I would oftentimes play on a different server that I'm not going to discuss, just so I kind of have some, away from YouTube stuff that I can do. But that server is kind of smaller, and I really enjoy playing on that server. I'm playing a Dwarf Paladin on that server just because my little sister's playing on that server, and some other real life friends, so that just allows me to kind of have a different experience, a different leveling experience, play a class that's not available on the Horde side, and just enjoy my time with them. I've been doing some dungeons, I've been leveling professions, and obviously taking part in a little bit of PvP now that it's been happening. So I'm not level 60 on that character, but I'm making my way there. And I'm just having a lot of fun out in the world and just doing the Alliance side of things. I have leveled to 60 on Alliance before. My character way back in the day in Classic WoW was an Alliance character, so it's not that I have never done it, but it has been a while. The other thing that I have to say is I've been building up some twinks. So I know that some of you saw my recent video with my 19 twink, and I have to say, like I said in that video, twinking obviously is a very contentious thing. Like, some people really like it and some people think it's the dumbest thing ever. And I really can see both sides of it, especially at 19. It's like pretty much brain dead. You don't really have to do much of anything, and you just let your gear carry you. But I will say that it is fun for me to kind of build the characters up and get all these really good pieces of gear. I actually kind of enjoy the process of leveling and twinking the character almost more than the PvP itself, which is, I know, kind of weird, but it's just it's like a checklist thing, picking up all the things you need. It's kind of fun. But I also will say that it allows me to play with some of my friends that have a lot more commitments in real life. So I have a friend that he just recently had a kid, and he's just obviously busy with a lot of things, and me being able to play Classic WoW with him was a very important thing for me. So being able to play with him in some capacity is obviously better than none. So I'll take twinking for that, obviously. I think that twinking, like I said, is just a good way of being able to play with some people that can't commit the time, because obviously after you get the gear and everything, you're done with gearing up forever. That gear is going to be the best, apart from like maybe a few things that get introduced into later patches. Those kind of things are going to be the best forever. So that's also kind of exciting for me. But that's kind of where I stand with everything right now. The PvP system did come out, and I spent a lot of time that first few days testing things out, having fun in World PvP, because I knew that was when it was going to be the most active. Had a lot of fun doing that. Was really just after Sergeant, so that I could get the PvP trinket and also get the cloak, because the cloak actually has a good amount of stamina and it has really high armor actually. So for bear tanking, it's a pretty good piece, since I haven't gotten any other things. But that was just my goal, is to get Sergeant for now. I will probably rank more serious later. I do want to get to rank 13, but I'm really not in any hurry. I know with Battlegrounds coming soon, I'm going to be doing AV to get my reputation up, and I'll be doing Warsong Gulch because those pants from Exalted are just really, really strong. And that is probably a time that I'll focus more on ranking. And for now, I'm just going to enjoy the game and kind of take things slow. I have obviously been playing a lot less than I was right at the beginning, but I still am obviously logging on every day and really enjoying the game. And I have to say that I'm really happy that everything that they promised with Classic so far has been kept. They got rid of layering right when they said they were going to. They have been announcing things and rolling things out the way they said. Obviously, some things have been sped up a little bit, which, to be honest, I wish they had slowed down on a few things, but I can see why they changed some of those things up. Other thing I'm kind of sad about is I want my key ring, obviously. Like, put in the key ring for finally. But anyways, guys, that's how I've been feeling about Classic WoW. I've been really enjoying it. I hope you guys have been enjoying it too. I wanted to put out a video today on my Druid's gear. However, I was sitting in a huge queue and I decided to go AFK and leave the house. And then when I came back, I had actually gotten through the queue, but I got disconnected. So that sucks, and I'm currently waiting in a 3-hour queue again. So that's the problem with having a really full server and having no layers, is queues are really bad and it's kind of obnoxious. But anyways, guys, that is the end of this video. Thank you for watching. I'm going to do a gear video on Friday, so look forward to that. I know I have not been doing so many Druid specific things, so I want to get back to that. And anyways, guys, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.